welcome internet to another DLC Entertainment podcast for downloadable content that is and always will be free. Is that shots fired? Well, who cares, because it is no DQ in this podcast, much like the Money in the Bank ladder match that took place last night, but we'll get to that soon. Firstly, I want to talk about E3 that is currently going on. The Bethesda showcase happened not long ago, and we finally learned that Fallout 4 is to be released on November 10th. So put that in your diaries, folks. I can't wait for it. It looks absolutely fantastic. And another game that was revealed that looks absolutely fantastic is the new Doom game. We saw a trailer for it and 5 minutes of gameplay from the depths of hell, and it looks stunning. A lot of enemies back from the series, although they are redesigned and look absolutely brilliant. A lot of weapons make their appearances again. A lot of the classic ones, such as the plasma rifle, or the plasma gun, the chain gun, the chainsaw, the BFG, it all looks absolutely amazing. I've been waiting for this game for a long time, especially since the Doom 4 beta was given away with Wolfenstein The New Order last May, yet we've still seen nothing on that, so hopefully we're getting closer to it now. But Doom is slated for release in spring 2016, so also put that in your diaries. And I've also just been watching the Nintendo World Championships. I did touch upon that on Saturday's podcast. I mentioned the Nintendo World Championship. I've just been watching it. It's over 4 hours long. Absolutely incredible. Jack Numbers, I believe he was, won the competition overall, and it was tough. I was watching some of the final moments from the Mario Maker section, the final of the championship where the Nintendo Playhouse, I think it's called, or Treehouse, the Nintendo Treehouse created levels and they had to complete them, and Jack Numbers won. It looks absolutely stunning. It shows what can be done in Mario Maker. That is probably the game that I'm hyped for most this year. I did mention that on Saturday also. It looks absolutely incredible. Can't wait to play it come this September. I'll be doing a lot of videos on it on my DLC Gaming channel and my Silent Oblivion 903 channel over on YouTube. But now that's out the way, now we're getting into the main section of the show, and that is the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view that aired last night over on the WWE Network and live on pay-per-view. And if any of you people saw my blog post yesterday, you will have seen that my predictions were way off. I got pretty much every one of the match predictions wrong. And if you haven't watched the Money in the Bank pay-per-view yet, the WWE Network is free throughout the rest of June for new subscribers, so get yourself subscribed and watch it, because it was a pretty damn good pay-per-view. Not the best, but by no means the worst. A few swerves and a few good matches, I've got to say. Some of them took me by surprise and some of them were absolutely amazing, so be sure to check that out. But if you have seen the pay-per-view, then you can continue listening to this podcast, because I'm going to get into my predictions as I go through the card. First off, in the pre-show, R-Truth took on King Barrett in a typical pre-show match. Nothing special, nothing fancy, but it was a good opener for the show. I predicted that King Barrett won, but R-Truth came out on top in the end. And to start the show off, they had a tribute to Dusty Rhodes, who, as you'll know, passed away this Thursday, which left the wrestling world and the IWC and the wrestling industry and everyone in it absolutely devastated. A true legend has now left the industry and has now left us, and it's very sad. There's not much to say other than that. They did a salute, they did the tribute as they always do. It was quite emotional, and they clapped along to his theme song, and that started the show. But to kick off the actual pay-per-view was the Money in the Bank ladder match. Roman Reigns was predicted to win by many. It was pretty much a guaranteed prediction that he was going to come out with the Money in the Bank briefcase, because, as you'll know, it is heavily rumoured that the Shield Triple Threat match will take place at WrestleMania 32, with the thoughts of Roman Reigns possibly cashing in like Seth Rollins did and entering the World Heavyweight Championship match come WrestleMania 32. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Sheamus won the match. Sheamus is now Mr. Money in the Bank. And I'm not too sure how this one's going to work, to tell you the truth. Obviously, Sheamus is in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so to have him sort of pushed into the forefront of the company again is an obvious move from a business standpoint, because the movie's going to bring a lot of attention over to WWE, and obviously they want to see him showcased on WWE television in the coming months. But it's sort of, I don't really know how to feel about it, because although Sheamus is great and he was heavily pushed in his opening a couple of years in the company. He sort of took a back seat now, and I don't feel that he's going to have the same impact as the Money in the Bank winner as Seth Rollins did last year. Obviously, winning Money in the Bank pushed him to the main event level. Sheamus is already in that, but he's quite content in the mid-card. He sort of suits it quite well. I don't know what Sheamus is going to do that's going to bring him to that level again. And also how it's now going to work, making a triple threat World Heavyweight Championship match with a Shield, if that does actually go ahead. Because my view was either Roman Reigns was going to win the Money in the Bank, and then either Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose was going to win the Royal Rumble, putting them in the main event of WrestleMania, and whichever Shield member didn't win the Royal Rumble would go into the event with the title. Roman Reigns will announce that he's cashing in WrestleMania, making the triple threat match. You got the champion, the winner of the Rumble, and the Money in the Bank winner all taking part in the match. So how that's going to go down, or whether that even goes down now, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to wait and see over the coming months and into next year how that's going to go down. But moving on from that, in the final moments of the Money in the Bank ladder match, this is the reason why Roman Reigns didn't win. Bray Wyatt made an appearance, the lights went out, his music hit, his Titantron hit. He appeared in the ring wearing a similar he wore sort of a mad scientist kind of apron, much like a sort of Dexter does in the TV show when he hacks up his opponents. His victims rather. He cost Roman Reigns the shot at the Money in the Bank, and Sheamus won it overall. And then that's how that one went down. It's already been announced that Roman Reigns will take on Bray Wyatt at Battleground next month. But moving on from that, there is the Divas Championship match between Nikki Bella and Paige. It's been rumoured that Naomi is going to be the one that the belt is dropped to, and is going to sort of get a push as the Divas Champion. And I did predict that Paige would win the belt, Money in the Bank. However, Nikki Bella did come out on top and retained the title. Not much to say about that, your typical Divas match. It was fairly decent though, and Nikki Bella retained. So moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match, it was champion Ryback versus the Big Show, and Ryback retained the title overall. However, Big Show did win by disqualification after, I think it was the Miz, assaulted the Big Show mid-match. Obviously the referee rang the bell and the Big Show won, but due to disqualification and due to champion's advantage, Ryback retained the title. So whether that feud will go on past Money in the Bank is unsure, because it is heavily rumoured that Big Show may be retiring soon. And it is rumoured that he might be taking on Kane, a retirement match at SummerSlam, but nothing set in stone yet. So whether this rivalry will carry on past Money in the Bank, because obviously Big Show didn't win the title, he was obviously wrongly... the match was over. He sort of got screwed over a bit by The Miz. I think it was The Miz. I didn't have volume on during that match, so I'm not entirely sure. I think it was The Miz. But basically Big Show got screwed, so whether it will continue on, or whether he'll feud with The Miz, I'm just going to go ahead and say it was The Miz because it looked like him. Whether he'll feud with him over the coming months going into Battleground, it would make sense, but who knows what's going to happen now with that feud. But Ryback retained the title. So moving on to probably the second most anticipated match of the night, John Cena and Kevin Owens. At Elimination Chamber, Kevin Owens beat Cena pretty cleanly as well, which a lot of people didn't expect. A lot of people expected Cena to go over, as he always does. However, Kevin Owens got the win, and it pushed him right into the forefront and made him worthy of moving up to the main roster, which he's expected to do soon after he possibly drops the NXT title to Finn Balor in Japan on July the 4th. So Cena and Owens went at it once again. Absolutely fantastic match. Back and forth, they both gave it the all, both put on an absolutely stunning performance, but Cena went over this time after a springboard stunner which pretty much didn't connect. It sort of looked a bit botched, but he managed to pull it off. Springboard stunner into the AA, and he picked up the win. But still, incredible match. And with one win already under his belt against Cena, Kevin Owens is still looking strong, and expect to see him on the main roster on a full-time basis very, very soon. And speaking of NXT, guys, I'm going to go back to the Money in the Bank match, because I sort of skipped over some of the spots quite throughout the match. Neville was in the match, a former NXT superstar, as well as Kofi Kingston, which I think, although he's not an NXT guy, I'm just sort of putting them two together because they are the high flyers in the match. Those two did some pretty incredible spots. Obviously, Neville does all your high flying stuff. Kofi Kingston does too. He took a pretty brutal power bomb into a ladder from Roman Reigns. Neville got pulled off the ladder by Randy Orton into an RKO, which was pretty good. Randy Orton was just RKOing out of nowhere every single person there. It was pretty incredible. And I just wanted to mention that just because he's an NXT guy, and I sort of forgot a few of those things in the match as I was going over the results. But going back to the Ryback match, I predicted Ryback would win the match. Big Show technically won the match, but Ryback retained. So I'm going to give myself a point there and say Ryback did walk out of Money in the Bank with the title. So I am currently 1 correct, 3 incorrect, 3 incorrect. So right, I'm not doing too good at the minute. With the Cena and the Owens match, I predicted on Saturday that Owens would go over and win. I predicted on Saturday Cena would go over and win. And then on Sunday, on my blog post on dlcentertainment.blogspot.co.uk, I changed my mind and said that Owens would go over. Because 2 wins over Cena would really cement himself on the main roster. But Cena went over, so I did change my mind. So technically I am at a loss on that one. So I'm now standing at 1 predicted correctly and 4 incorrectly predicted. So as you can see, it is not going too well for me. My predictions were way off last night. But that's the good thing, it swerves you. It wasn't always the obvious result. So yeah, it is good when WWE do that. It is good that it's not always the predictable card that you expect it to be. Like I said, Roman Reigns was heavily predicted to win the Money in the Bank match, and he didn't. That's just one example. I expected Owens to go over, and he didn't. Although they both looked equally strong in that match, so it didn't do Kevin Owens any harm by losing to Cena last night. And then moving on to the penultimate match, it was the Tag Team Championship match. The New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods. Obviously, the New Day being a 3-man team have the Freebird rule, which means any 2 of the 3 competitors can defend the belt. So Kofi Kingston was tied up in the Money in the Bank match, which left Xavier Woods and Big E defending the titles against the Primetime players, Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. And it's pretty cool to see Titus and Darren sort of pushed back onto TV because they sort of drifted off. And to be fair, you never really saw much of them. You expect them, they were just pretty much jobbers, like house show jobbers. Nothing really happened with them for a long time. And they came back recently, took part in the Elimination Chamber Tag Team Championship match. They did a pretty good outing. I think it was the New Day and Primetime players were the 2 left in the chamber. The New Day won overall, but the Primetime players looked pretty damn good. Titus O'Neil was throwing everyone into the chamber. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it. So they got a shot at the Tag Team Championships, and I predicted that the New Day were going to retain the titles because it was originally scheduled. That on July the 4th. The New Day would take on Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for the titles. Tyson Kidd is out with a spinal injury. But obviously the New Day were expected to defend the titles at July the 4th, so I predicted that the New Day would walk out on Money in the Bank with the titles, but they didn't. Primetime players came out on top and won the Tag Team Championship, which I believe is for the first time, I think. I don't think they've won it before, which is pretty cool because, like I said, Titus and Darren pretty much drifted off from TV and haven't really been seen too much. They've been seen on occasion, but if you remember back in January, I think Titus O'Neil had like a 4-second lasting in the Royal Rumble match. He came in and got eliminated straight away. I think it was botched. I think it was meant to be even shorter than that. I think it was meant to be like the new record of the shortest time in the Rumble match, but it was botched. But either way, Titus came in the match, got thrown straight over the rope, and that was the end of that. So as you can see, Titus and Darren haven't really been utilised in WWE. And Titus O'Neil could be a big powerhouse, Big E starting to get his shot at being sort of a big powerhouse guy. And then now Titus and Darren Young have been given the brass ring in terms of the Tag Team Championships, and fingers crossed they run with it and they become a pretty dominant tag team. They've got a good sort of mix between Darren Young's, he's not too much of a high fly, but he's not a powerhouse. He's a good all-round kind of guy. And you've got Titus, which is your big powerhouse, a bit like Tyson Kidd and Cesaro's, or Tyson was a bit more of a high flyer. But yeah, hopefully they have a good run in as tag team champions. I'm really hopeful for them, and hopefully they don't just get buried and get the title taken off them too quickly. And it was really surprising to see that result go down. So I am currently at 1-5. So yeah, things aren't going too good. But that brings me to the main event of Money in the Bank. It was a ladder match between WWE Champion Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose stole the WWE World Heavyweight Championship from Seth Rollins. Although he wasn't technically the winner, he has been carrying around the belt for a long time. So Dean Ambrose walked into the match with the belt, although not champion, and it was suspended above the ring. And yeah, it was going to be who is the true WWE champion, and it was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose going at it. Absolutely incredible match. A lot of high risk spots going on throughout the match. Later on in the match, we saw a pedigree from Seth Rollins, followed by 2 power bombs on the outside into the barricades by Seth Rollins to Dean Ambrose, and then a sit-down power bomb onto ladders and chairs from Seth Rollins. So Dean Ambrose took an absolute beating in that match. Both of them went out. It was completely back and forth. A lot of high-risk spots. A truly incredible match. Roman Reigns has been shown in recent months that he deserves to be at that main event level. And Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose have been proven as well that they are main event level. Obviously, Rollins was given the championship, and he's ran with the ball. He's truly ran with the ball as a heel champion. And in my mind, he's been a good champion so far. And then Dean Ambrose has shown that he's also main event level, because I expected him to sort of drop down to the mid card and just sort of be another one of those guys. But he has truly stepped up to the mark. Obviously, there was a fatal 4-way match not long ago between the Shield and Randy Orton. Absolutely incredible match. All 3 of the Shield members hung with Randy Orton and shown that they could draw and go just as much as he could, because obviously Orton is an established main event player. And Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose proved it again that they deserve to be in the main event spot. And I think the Shield is probably one of the best things that WWE have come out with in recent years, and probably 3 of the best things that have come out of NXT. Obviously, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were very well known in the indie circuit as Tyler Black and Jon Moxley prior to WWE. But I think since coming to NXT and heading on up in the main roster, they have really proved themselves and have really gone on to become really big stars. And I think they are the future of WWE. I think it is set in stone that those guys are going to be the big things in WWE for the next few years. Along with Kevin Owens, I have no doubt he's going to be up in the title picture. Samoa Joe is going to come up from the main roster soon. I think Finn Balor's probably going to by the end of the year. I think the main roster is going to be full of pretty big NXT talent, and a lot of fresh faces. Because obviously you've got your guys like Cena and Orton who are getting on a bit now. They've been in WWE on the main event level for over 10 years. Cena has dropped out in the mid card, but not because he's not worthy of being the WWE champion. It's by holding the United States Championship, which is a mid card title. It's been able to bring a lot of lower end guys up to the main event level and being able to see whether they can draw, see whether they can actually compete at that level. Because obviously, regardless of whether you step in for United States Championship match or WWE Championship match, you're going against John Cena, the man, the face of WWE. And obviously you are going to be performing at the next level. You're going to be performing at the highest level. And if you can go, then that is really going to show that you are worthy of having your spot in the company. And I think Cena is really getting the best out of people. Kevin Owens has gave him a great outing. Neville debuted, I think, against Cena. And a lot of people expected Neville to be buried quite quickly. But Neville is still going strong. He's still being on Raw and SmackDown regularly. He's took part in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He's really proven himself, and I don't expect Neville to be buried. Sami Zayn came out on Raw, challenged Cena for his United States Championship, gave one hell of a match, and unfortunately lost. But he is currently injured, I think. But I think when he comes back, I'd expect him to probably skip NXT and jump straight up to the main roster. Along with Kevin Owens, who will be on there. Samoa Joe, I don't think is going to be on the NXT for long. Just to learn the way of WWE style for TV. Obviously, he's on TV in TNA a lot, but WWE is a whole different ballgame. You've got to learn how to perform the way they do. And I think once he's got that sorted, I think he'll be on the main roster. Finn Balor's due to be on the main roster as well. I think come WrestleMania 32, a lot of the NXT guys are going to be on the main roster. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. There's going to be a lot of fresh faces for when guys like Cena and Orton finally call it a day. I think the roster is probably going to be, over the next year or so, is probably going to be the best that it's been in a very long time. Probably since this later half of the 2000s. I think it's going to be truly amazing. Can't wait to see what WWE have up their sleeves in terms of those guys and in terms of the stories over the coming months and into next year. I'd say WWE is truly on a roll at the minute, and I think once Vince McMahon finally steps down, although I believe that Vince McMahon will step down when he's put into the ground, that is my prediction. I don't think he's going to give it up anytime soon. I think once Triple H and Stephanie McMahon get full reign of WWE, I think they are going to make it probably the best it's been since the Attitude Era. I truly believe that. What Triple H is doing with the Performance Center in NXT, it is showing that he is able to find and groom talent to be the next big things. I have no doubt about that. The Performance Center, it's a 24/7 thing. You can go down, you can work on promos, you can work on matches, you can cut promos. They've got a promo room where it records you cutting promos. You can go back and watch it. It records everything in the ring, so if you go and sort of work on your matches and that, you can go back and you can access this and you can watch it and you can improve. It's truly incredible. A lot of wrestlers never got that chance. The only way you'd get better is by doing shows, but obviously you can learn outside of doing shows this way. You can truly craft, you can sort of learn your craft in the Performance Center, and I think that is the reason why a lot of these talents are getting to the level they are so quick from coming to WWE. I think it really is helping them, and obviously NXT is the same production as WWE's Raw and SmackDown, just on a smaller scale. But if you learn how to perform for TV on NXT, you can come over to WWE and there's no difference. It's pretty much exactly the same layout, the same show, the same style, just obviously on a bigger scale. The arenas are bigger, so I think a lot of people on NXT are learning how to get up to the main roster quicker and are performing at the main roster level a lot quicker. So I've got no doubt that Triple H is going to bring out the best in WWE and probably make it the best it's been since the Attitude Era. And if you can hear the little knocking noise like you've just heard in the background of this, I really apologise. My chair keeps doing that and I move. I'm trying to keep still, but this chair is really annoying me. And I think it's coming through on my podcast. I noticed it on Saturdays. I might have to get a new chair because it's really, really annoying me now. So if you can hear it, I apologise. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. But when you're getting into stuff and you're really passionate about something, it's hard not to move as you're discussing things and sort of getting excited about things. But I'll try and keep that to a minimum. But I think on that note, that is Money in the Bank talked about. It was a pretty incredible show. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't watched it, WWE Network is free for the rest of June to all new subscribers. There's no reason why you can't watch it. Get on to WWE.com/network, sign up to it, watch it on your PC, your laptop, your Xbox, your PlayStation, your smart TV, your phone, anything, pretty much any internet capable device can watch. You can watch the network on. You've got no excuses to. I was watching Money in the Bank on my phone this morning, and because it's a Galaxy S6, it looked absolutely incredible, full HD. Even though it's a 5-inch screen, the pay-per-view is incredible. Really, really enjoyed it. Get yourself over to WWE.com/network. Sign up to the network. If you're already a subscriber, you're paying $9.99 for an incredible product. True value for money. And don't worry, folks, I'm not being sponsored by WWE to say that. I'm not being paid to say this. That I believe from the bottom of my heart the WWE Network is a great product, and there's no reason why you should not have an account on it and you should not be watching Money in the Bank this week. If you haven't already, if you have, you have just spent $9.99 on a fantastic product. And I'm really looking forward to Raw. I'm really looking forward to seeing what is going to happen with Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. Obviously Sheamus is the Money in the Bank, Mr. Money in the Bank. I can't wait to see what he's got to say. I can't wait to see what happens with Seth Rollins. Obviously he's retained the title. Obviously it's now going to be building up towards Battleground, heading into SummerSlam as well in August. Brock Lesnar is rumoured to be coming back very, very soon. He's set to come back on July the 4th. Whether he'll make an appearance on WWE television before then, who knows. But I'm going to be on the edge of my seat anticipating it. I hope you guys are too. Once E3 is over, I'll be bringing you more news from that. And if you head on over to my DLC Gaming YouTube page, I'm going to be doing some videos, as well as this podcast, which will be going live on archive.org, my dlcentertainment.blogspot.co.uk site. Hopefully iTunes soon once I get that sorted. I'm having a bit of an issue at the minute with iTunes, but it's more my computer I'm having an issue with than iTunes itself. I've got a few things I need to do on my computer. I need to reboot it. I need to put Windows onto it fresh and get rid of some problems I've been having. But that's not your issue, that is mine. But that is why it is not on iTunes at the minute. So hopefully it will be soon, either by the time episode 3 rolls around or episode 4. It should be up on iTunes for you to subscribe to. I've already got subscribers to this podcast, which is truly fantastic because I'm only one episode in. I'm glad you guys are liking it. Subscribe to my podcast by the methods I just told you. Head on over to my DLC Gaming YouTube channel, subscribe to it, check out the podcast on there, check out my E3 videos I'm going to be doing on Fallout, Doom, Mario Maker and more. Head on over to my Silent Oblivion YouTube page where I do a WWE 2K15 Universe series amongst other things, and I can't wait to bring you the next podcast. I don't know when it will be yet, but it hopefully will be soon because a lot is happening in the world of wrestling, gaming and music, and I am set on bringing you all that news as and when it happens. So expect a podcast soon. Follow me on Twitter at SilentOblivion1. You can follow my music Twitter at DoodlesGuitar 903 I think it is. And I am also making a separate Twitter account for this podcast and for my DLC Gaming podcast, which I will give you soon. If you head on over to my SilentOblivion1 Twitter account, I'll be posting the new page on there as it goes live, so make sure you check that out, and I will see you guys on the next DLC Entertainment podcast. As you know, the only downloadable content that is free and always will be free. I'll say that again because I botched that one up, much like Sin Cara botches everything else. So DLC Entertainment, the only downloadable content that is and always will be free. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next podcast. So until next time guys, bye for now.